Welcome to the Kindness Extremist podcast. I'm your host, Shola Richards, aka Brother Teresa. I've spoken to tens of thousands of people all over the world about the importance of kindness. And I am obsessed with how we can bring more kindness into our daily lives and restore balance to a deeply unbalanced world. Every episode, I'll give you 3 practical strategies to create a kinder world, and I'll do it in 30 minutes or less. No fluff, just valuable, actionable content that you can implement in your life immediately after listening to help you actively create a kinder world. There's no time to waste. Let's dive in. Welcome back, my friend. It's an honor that you're here for episode 10. Yes, 10 of the Kindness Extremist podcast. One of my goals when I started this podcast 2 months ago was to reach double-figure episodes, and I can now proudly say that I reached that goal. I'm so pumped about this. On today's episode, I'm discussing something deeply personal and universally important: prioritizing our mental health. I had a conversation recently that broke my heart. A friend told me that they wanted to start therapy, but felt it was selfish to spend time on their mental health when there were more important things to focus on. This conversation inspired me to address a critical truth in this episode. Our mental health is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And in today's episode, I'll give you 3 practical strategies to prioritize your mental wellness. First, we'll explore what I like to call tough love self-care and why it's the foundation of our mental health journey. Next, I'll share how to build your support crew for emotional well-being. And finally, we'll discuss the power of boundaries as essential protection for your mental well-being going forward. So whether you're struggling right now, supporting someone who is struggling, or simply want to strengthen your mental wellness practices, this episode is most definitely for you. Let's begin our journey toward prioritizing mental health as the essential resource that it truly is. For the first kindness strategy, when I talk about mental health, I often hear the same objections. I should be strong enough to handle this on my own. Or, taking care of my mental health feels selfish when others need me. Or my personal not favorite, I don't have time to worry about my mental health. All of these are terrible and profoundly untrue, but the I don't have time to worry about my mental health excuse is particularly odious to me. Metaphorically speaking, that's like going on a road trip and saying, I'm too busy driving to stop and get gas. Come on. We both know how that story will end. Sadly, these misconceptions keep so many people from giving themselves the care they desperately need, and it's time to change this narrative. We never tell someone with a broken leg to walk it off or someone with diabetes to just get over it, yet somehow we're normalizing ignoring our mental health needs. We've created this bizarre culture where taking care of our minds is treated as something extra, a nice to have instead of a must have. And since we're talking about must-haves, let's be real here. We always make time for the things that are important to us. When our car needs maintenance, we do it. When our teeth need cleaning, we go to the dentist. When our body needs exercise, we make time for it. But when our minds need attention, suddenly it's a debate about not being strong enough. I'm sorry, but that's just weird and we need to do better. Real talk, our mental health is as essential as our daily meals, our physical health, our regular sleep, and our ability to breathe. The hard work of mental self-care isn't selfish. It's necessary, not just for you, but for everyone who counts on you to show up as your best self. So what does this hard work actually look like? In my book, Civil Unity, I talk about what I love to call tough love self-care. Unlike going to the spa or relaxing with a good book, which are wonderful, but often temporary comforts, tough love self-care involves the necessary and sometimes unpleasant self-care actions we must take to strengthen our minds for the difficult challenges ahead. Here are 4 essential components of tough love self-care that I found indispensable on this journey. First, prioritize rest and fully unplug when you need to. Rest is not earned. You deserve rest because you are a human being. There's nothing honorable about working around the clock, staying late, or refusing to take vacations. This mindset is draining, not only mentally, but physically, emotionally, and spiritually as well. Commit to getting adequate sleep, taking breaks throughout your day, and fully unplugging during your time off. Second, make your physical health a priority. Our minds and bodies are deeply connected. When we neglect our physical health, our mental health suffers too. This means eating nutritious foods that fuel your body, staying hydrated, and moving your body regularly. It's about treating your physical vessel with the respect it deserves. In the spirit of full disclosure, this is a huge challenge for me. While thankfully I'm pretty good at exercising, my diet could use some serious improvement. I'm in and out of airports all the time. And if I could eat Auntie Anne's pretzels for every meal for the rest of my life, I would do it in a heartbeat. Not to mention, I'm completely sugar addicted too. So, dear listener, I want to be clear. Even though I'm sharing these strategies, please don't assume that I'm not a work in progress because believe me, I most certainly am. As mentioned countless times in previous episodes, we're in the struggle together. Continuing on. Third, practice meditation or mindfulness. Taking even 5 minutes a day to quiet your mind, focus on your breath, and check in with yourself can have profound effects on your mental well-being. Studies have consistently shown that regular meditation reduces anxiety, depression, and stress while improving focus, emotional regulation, which I talked about in a previous episode, and overall happiness. Fourth, and this is crucial, reach out for professional help when needed. For years, I delayed starting therapy because of negative stigma in programming. Not to mention, as a Black man in America, I heard from woefully misguided people that therapy's for crazy white folks and that I need to man up, stop being a punk. Unsurprisingly, none of this advice did a damn thing to improve my mental health. In fact, it nearly cost me my life. Today, I cannot imagine navigating this crazy world without my therapist. Having a non judgmental space to express my fears, my insecurities, my disappointments, and my deepest feelings is one of the greatest gifts that I have on this journey. Remember that tough love self care isn't about temporary comfort, it's about building sustainable practices that strengthen your mind for life's challenges. It proves to ourselves that we are capable of doing hard things, like, trying to create a kinder world, for instance. So your first practical takeaway is this: commit to one tough love self-care practice for the next 30 days. Whether it's establishing a regular sleep schedule, beginning a meditation practice, scheduling that therapy appointment you've been putting off, or prioritizing movement, just choose one thing and commit to it fully. For me, my tough love self-care commitment, and this is going to be hard to say, is going 30 days without candy. That might not seem like much to you, but when this brother sees one of those stores in the mall or in the airport that sells gummy candy by the scoop, I damn near lose my mind. So yes, intentionally decreasing my refined sugar intake this month is my personal tough love self-care challenge. I know that my diet plays a huge role in my overall mental health, so I'm leaning into doing better in this area beginning this month. But enough about me. Please write down your commitment, track your progress, and note any changes in your mental state throughout the month. Remember, tough love self-care isn't a luxury. It's an essential maintenance for your most valuable asset, your mind. Next, let's dive into the second practical kind of strategy and a critical aspect of mental health: building your support crew. For the second kind of strategy, I need to address a dangerous myth. Yes, there is a myth in our society that mental strength means handling everything on your own. We idolize the self-made individual who needs nobody. We glorify isolation as independence, but this could not be further from the truth. Resilience, in other words, the ability to withstand or recover quickly from difficult circumstances, isn't forged in isolation. It's built through connection. I firmly believe that no one can effectively navigate this world alone, and it's only when we decide to lean in to the willing help of others that we can become truly mentally well and resilient. Let me tell you about a time when I learned this lesson firsthand. Maybe you can relate. In 2020, like so many other people, I was struggling mightily. We're a month into a deadly global pandemic. My speaking and consulting business was on the verge of collapse. Meanwhile, I was trying to facilitate a bootleg version of homeschool for my young daughters while rebuilding my career that nearly wrecked my sanity and, more importantly, theirs. And if that wasn't enough, whenever I turned to the television for a break, I was greeted with endless footage of George Floyd's murder on endless loop, rising COVID death counts, and political melodrama that seemed like it would never end. I felt trapped, incompetent, sad, alone, terrified, and defeated, nearly every day. And in that state, I made a crucial mistake. I tried to handle it all myself. I didn't want to burden others with my struggles. I thought I needed to be strong for my family, for the few clients that I still had, and for my community. The result? I fell into a depression that nearly matched the one that led to my suicide attempt years earlier. It wasn't until I reached out to my therapist, to close friends, to my wife, that I finally began to heal. I call this essential process building your crew, and it's one of the most effective ways to deal with the overwhelming nature of toxic stress and to protect your mental health. Your crew should ideally include 3 types of people. First, someone who will feel with you. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's thoughts and feelings in a situation from their point of view rather than your own. Having someone in your crew who is empathetic and willing to create a psychologically safe environment to feel your highs and your lows with you can be extremely cathartic. This could be a trained professional like a therapist, a trusted friend, or a loved one. The key is that this person makes space for your emotions without judgment, without trying to fix you, and most importantly, without making it about themselves. Secondly, in your crew, you need someone who will laugh with you. The ability to laugh at the world and at ourselves is another trait of the resilient. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, wrote in his transformative book, Man's Search for Meaning, he said, quote, "Humor was another of the soul's weapons in the fight for self-preservation. It is well known that humor, more than anything else in the human makeup, can afford aloofness and an ability to rise above any situation, even if only for a few seconds." End quote. Humor doesn't mean laughing at suffering or being insensitive to pain, because that's sociopathic. Rather, it's about briefly tapping into the absurdity of a situation and reframing it. And let's be real, my friend. If Viktor Frankl can find meaning in the depths of a Nazi concentration camp, we can probably reframe our struggles too if we try hard enough. This is why it's so important to have people in your crew who help you not to take yourself too seriously and to remind you to find humor even in the most difficult times. It's challenging, but it's possible. And third, someone who will stand with you. These are the people who remind you of your purpose and the importance of your long-term positive intentions. They help you see beyond the immediate challenges to see the bigger picture. They strengthen your resolve when you're ready to quit and give up. A good example of this is when parents are sleep deprived and struggling with a newborn. I still remember those days. So what keeps them going? If you're a parent, you get this. You are connected to a purpose bigger than yourself and bigger than the transitory challenges that you're experiencing at the time. Mentally strong people understand this, and having someone in your crew who stands with you and reminds you of your purpose is invaluable for our mental health journey. Now, in the spirit of realness, not everyone has someone in their lives who will feel with them, laugh with them, or stand with them. And that's okay. If you don't have people who meet that criteria, there are practical ways to find and create relationships that will enhance your life and support your mental well-being. You can explore your interests through groups, both online and offline. For example, do you love video games, sports teams, hiking, international travel, knitting, fitness, cooking, book clubs? Whatever your jam may be, there are countless people who share them. This is a fantastic way to meet like-minded individuals who might become part of your crew. For example, some of the kindest, most supportive people I've ever met in my life were ones I encountered while volunteering. Whether it's assisting people experiencing homelessness, refereeing youth sports games, cleaning up the local community, or making meals for people less fortunate, volunteering puts you in direct contact with others who value service and compassion. One thing to remember: please keep this in mind, my friend. Finding your crew takes time. Yes, it's easy to become discouraged, but please don't quit. There are nearly 8 billion, with a B, billion people on this planet. Your crew is out there. You just have to find them. So your second practical takeaway of the episode is this. In the coming week, take inventory of your current support system. Ask yourself, do I have people in my life who will feel with me, laugh with me, and stand with me? If so, reach out and strengthen those relationships this week. If not, take one concrete step toward finding them. Join a group related to your interests, sign up for a volunteer opportunity, or reconnect with an old friend who might fulfill one of those roles. Remember, asking for support isn't weakness, it's wisdom. No one climbs Mount Everest alone. They bring guides, they bring teams, they bring support systems. Your mental health journey deserves the same level of respect and preparation. Next, let's move on to our third essential practice for mental well being: setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. Hey, fellow kindness extremists, it's me, Shola. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, if you're mowing what I'm growing, if you're smelling what I'm stepping in. Okay, I'll stop. If you're enjoying what you're listening to so far, I would love it if you would take a moment to hit the subscribe button and leave a rating and a review. Those incredibly kind acts go so far in helping me to reach as many people as possible who will join the movement to actively create a kinder world. I appreciate you so much, my friend. Okay, let's get back to the episode. For the third and final kindness strategy of the episode, when I work with clients on improving their mental health, there's one area that consistently presents the greatest challenge: establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries. Many of us were never taught how to set boundaries. Some of us were actively discouraged from having boundaries in the first place. And maybe you're with me on this, my friend, but I felt guilty at some point for enforcing my boundaries. This wasn't always easy for me. In fact, I was a certified yes person. I said yes to events I didn't want to attend, responsibilities that drained me, and opportunities that weren't aligned with my values. Sure, my calendar was full, but my soul was empty, and the cost was steep. Burnout, resentment, and a growing disconnect from what actually mattered to me. The turning point came after my second daughter, Nia, was born. The story just drives me nuts. I'll never forget my decision to reluctantly commit to conduct a customer service workshop on a Saturday morning. For context, I didn't enjoy facilitating those workshops at all, and doing one on a Saturday morning was an extra added kick in the teeth. But as a people-pleasing yes man, I reflexively said yes when I was asked. During the midpoint break of that workshop, I got a text from my wife. She shared the video of my baby girl in the pool for her first ever swim lesson, a swim lesson that I was missing because of this workshop. As I watched my baby girl Nia splash around and squeal through a tiny screen, something broke inside of me. From that point forward, I started taking my boundaries very seriously. Here's what I've learned about the power of boundaries, especially in terms of our mental health. 1, it preserves our energy for what truly matters. 2, it prevents against future resentment. And 3, it honors our limited time on this earth. My friend, if you are consistently overscheduled, overwhelmed, and exhausted all the time, it is not only okay, but necessary to put yourself first and say no thank you to activities that drain your discretionary time and your energy. Early in my career, I had a boss who would routinely call me at 9 p.m. with urgent tasks that somehow always need to be completed by next morning. At first, I accepted this as part of the job. I wanted to be seen as dedicated and as someone who would go above and beyond the call of duty. But after months of interrupted evenings, lost sleep, and growing resentment, I realized that something had to change. My mental health was deteriorating, my relationship with my wife was suffering, and ironically, my work performance was declining due to being so damn tired all the time. I finally gathered the courage to establish a boundary with my boss. I kindly told my boss that I wouldn't be available for calls after 7 p.m. unless it was a genuine emergency. Admittedly, my boss wasn't thrilled with me respectfully setting a boundary, but what was the alternative? As mentioned, this is beginning to affect my marriage, my sleep, and most of all, my mental health. Fielding calls late at night or during the weekend to satiate my boss's curiosity about issues that could wait until the following workday? Nah, that just couldn't continue. I'm sorry. So I took a calculated risk that if I kept delivering a stellar work product, my boundary would be respected by my boss. And it was, albeit begrudgingly, but it was respected. So here's the main point, my friend. I'm going to say it with my full chest. The people who will get upset with you enforcing your boundaries are always the ones who benefited from you not having any boundaries in the first place. No lies detected. Boundaries are particularly important for your mental health in these 3 key areas. First, time boundaries. These protect your most precious resource, your time. This includes setting work hours and sticking to them, limiting how much time you spend with energy-draining people, and ensuring that you have adequate time for rest, connection, and activities that nourish you. Second, emotional boundaries. These protect your emotional energy and well-being. This means not taking responsibilities for other people's feelings, not getting pulled into unnecessary drama, and maintaining a healthy separation between your emotions and the emotions of others. Third, and arguably in these days, probably most important, digital boundaries. In our hyper-connected world, these have become essential. This includes turning off notifications during certain hours, like when I'm recording this podcast episode, or taking breaks from social media and not feeling obligated to respond immediately to every message you receive. Setting boundaries is particularly challenging for those of us who are empaths or highly sensitive people. As mentioned in episode 1 of this podcast, I am an empath, which means I feel things very deeply. While this can be a beautiful gift, it also means that I can easily become overwhelmed by others' emotions and their needs if I don't maintain strong boundaries. Prior to me taking my mental health seriously, I was the prototypical nice guy, always available, always putting others first, never saying no. I had no boundaries whatsoever. However, after a few less than pleasant mental health challenges, I realized that boundaries weren't selfish, they were critical to my survival. So here's how to start establishing healthier boundaries for better mental health. Begin by identifying your limits. Pay attention to what makes you feel uncomfortable, resentful, or drained. These negative emotions are often signals that a boundary has been crossed. Don't ignore that signal. Next, communicate your boundaries clearly, calmly, and maybe most importantly, without apology. Remember, you do not need to justify what it is that you need. A simple, I'm not available then, or that doesn't work for me, is plenty sufficient. Then comes the hardest part, enforcing your boundaries consistently. Be prepared for pushback, especially from the ones who are used to you having no boundaries. Stay kind, but also stay firm. Finally, remember that your boundaries are a form of self-respect. They communicate to yourself and to others that your needs, your time, and your energy matters. And here's what's wild about this. One of the most beautiful aspects of healthy boundaries is that they actually improve our relationships rather than harming them. When we maintain clear boundaries, we show up more fully and genuinely in our interactions. We're less likely to harbor resentment, and we model what I believe are healthy relationship dynamics for others. So your third practical takeaway of the episode is this. Identify one boundary that you need to establish or strengthen for your mental well-being. It might be saying no to additional responsibilities at work, limiting time with a draining friend or family member, or establishing technology-free times in your day. I do all three. Write this boundary down, script exactly how you'll communicate it, and commit to enforcing it consistently for the next month. Yes, the next month. Remember, as renowned researcher and my gal, Brene Brown says, first of all, I love how I call Brene my gal as if I know her. I don't know her. I just wish that I did. And if you know her, please tell her that I said hello. Anyway, what she said was, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. As far as I'm concerned, truer words have never been spoken. We've covered a lot of ground today. Let's recap our 3 kind of strategies for the episode for making mental health a non-negotiable priority in your life. First, engage in tough love self-care. Commit to the sometimes challenging practices that strengthen your mind for life's difficulties, whether it's prioritizing rest, moving your body, practicing mindfulness, or seeking professional help. Second, build your support crew. Identify and nurture relationships with people who will feel with you, who will laugh with you, and who will stand with you. Remember, no one climbs Mount Everest alone, and if they did, I doubt that would be much fun. And third, establish healthy boundaries. Protect your time, emotional energy, and well-being by clearly communicating and consistently enforcing your limits and your boundaries. As we close episode 10, I want to emphasize that treating your mental health as essential isn't selfish. It's necessary, not just for you, but for everyone who counts on you to show up as your best self. Your family deserves you at your best. Your colleagues deserve you at your best. Most importantly, you deserve you at your best. So I invite you to start small. Just choose one practice from today's episode and commit to it fully. Notice how it affects not only your mental state, but also your relationships, your work, and your overall quality of life. Remember, when I was at my lowest point, literally about to drive off of a freeway overpass, I thought taking care of my mental health was optional. That nearly fatal misconception is why I'm so passionate about sharing this message today and always. My friend, prioritize your mental health, not just for others, not just for yourself, but ideally so we can create a kinder world for everyone. This is your host, Shola Richards, and you now know that kindness can't be weak because you just experienced the strength of the Kindness Extremist podcast. Until next time, my friend, the journey to a kinder world continues. Thank you for listening to the Kindness Extremist podcast. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I have one favor to ask of you. If you could kindly hit the subscribe button, leave a rating and a review, not only would that be incredibly kind, but by doing so, you're actively playing a role in growing this movement and ideally getting us one step closer to creating a kinder world. I hope to see you next week for another episode of the Kindness Extremist podcast. Bye for now.